Hey y'all, Mila, the Hangry Woman here, and today I'm going to be talking about a pretty heavy and serious topic. It's about diabetes and mental health, and I just wanted to open up the conversation because I think it's an important one. If you're new to my channel, I'm Mila. I live with a type of diabetes called Latent Autoimmune Diabetes in adults, or LADA. It's also called type 1.5 diabetes. I have been living with diabetes since 2016, and here on my channel I share tips, tricks, recipes, thoughts, feelings, everything that I can think of about diabetes. So if you like content like that and you just want to follow someone who understands you, be sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up to let me know that you watched it and you liked it. And I also love when you guys leave comments down in the comment section below, and I feel like the community that we've built here together just really is amazing, and there's so much great insight in the comments of a lot of my videos. So if you go through and watch, the comments are just as valuable as some of the information in the videos sometimes. So I would say check that out as well, but we're gonna get started on this topic. I wanna put a content warning ahead of this so that if you are disturbed or triggered by these topics, you click away. I don't want to discuss or share any information that might be harmful to someone if you're not in the right place. So I want to start off with that. And I also want to say in the beginning of this video, if you are dealing with anxiety or depression or eating disorders or any other mental health issues, please reach out to a mental health professional for help. I'm going to talk about my journey here and kind of why I'm even talking about this topic in the first place. Okay, with that, let's get to it. I don't know if this is common knowledge, but people with diabetes of any kind, of any type, are at a greater risk for anxiety, depression, and eating disorders. And I have been through all three. I've experienced all three in my journey, and that's why I wanted to talk about where I am today and kind of why I've been quiet for the last couple of months, because I have been dealing with a lot and it all relates to this topic. And so feeling physically well is like half the battle for us. We are basically functioning as an organ. We are doing the work that one of our body parts is supposed to be doing and is not doing. And so we have to take on that burden. We have to take on that task. We have to take care of ourselves and stay alive and nourish ourselves while being an organ, like, which is unheard of. And then at the same time, dealing with everything that comes at you in life, your work, your school and studying, your family, your relationships. Like, everybody in the world, every human being is dealing with a lot. Every human being has a lot on their plate. But when you have diabetes, there's this like extra burden, and because it's an invisible illness and because it's so stigmatized, people don't understand and don't see how difficult it is for us to get through the day-to-day. And for me, I just got to a point where, you guys know I've been relatively open about my situation, but in December, I got a divorce. In January, I had to sell my home. At the end of January, I moved into this beautiful apartment that I am actually starting to feel at home at and I love. I was dealing with a breakup of a relationship of 9 years. I was just going through a tough time physically and mentally, and I was not taking care of diabetes. I just wasn't. It was the last thing on my mind, the last thing I wanted to think about. I begrudgingly took insulin. I had to like scrape myself out of bed to get up and take my medication. I was just like, I don't think that I can handle all of these life changes. And I started having panic attacks. And the panic attacks started, I think, long before all of this situation started. I think my panic attack started about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. I would wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat. I couldn't get back to sleep. I had trouble falling asleep. I would have these moments of panic and these moments of anxiety where I felt like the world is ending, and like it sometimes to me felt like I was gonna die. And I know that sounds dramatic, but it really felt that way. Like I couldn't breathe. I would just get flustered and frustrated and cry, and I didn't know why I was crying. And like, I mean, it was just a lot. And so I'd been dealing with that for a year, maybe more. And then when, like, pardon my language, but shit hit the fan, and I had to uproot and change my whole life and sell my things and figure out where I was going to live and figure out if I could survive by myself with just my blogging income and just doing this. I just kept thinking to myself, like, I don't know how I'm gonna do any of this. And so like the first weeks that I spent in my new space, I was like crying every day. I couldn't even like get on my computer to write an article for my blog. If you go back, you'll see like it's like blank for months, because I was like, I don't feel any fuel creatively. I don't feel anything. And I just don't like, I mean, like the thought in my head was just like, I don't want to be here. And I recognized how alarming that was, that I had gotten to that point. And so I sought out therapy, and I sought out therapy kind of towards the end of my relationship, because I just needed that. I needed a space to vent that wasn't my friends. I didn't want to burden them with what I was going through. I wanted to talk to a professional, and so I did. And it was really helpful for me to have those talk therapy sessions and get out my frustrations and grievances. And even now in the process, like I'm learning about how my childhood has influenced my traumas in adulthood and how to cope with those things. And so I'm getting these coping mechanisms, and I'm getting all of this stuff. But even that wasn't enough. Even just like talking it out wasn't enough. So I decided to see a psychologist and took a couple of surveys. They're very normal in getting diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder or panic disorder or depression. And my scores for these tests were off the charts. My feelings and the way that I was like trying to navigate just wasn't working for me. I was losing interest in things that I love. I love my job. I love being a content creator. I love creating diabetes content. I love cooking. And I mean, I could like barely toast a piece of bread to just like eat. I mean, I there was a point where I spent like probably 4 or 5 days in bed. I got up to drink water. I maybe ate some yogurt, and like I couldn't find the energy and the like passion that I had, because I was so sad and because I was so anxious and because I was just like, I don't know what to do. And so I went and talked to a psychologist, took these surveys, found out that my anxiety and depression were off the charts. I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, and also depression. And that didn't surprise me. I think that I've always felt these feelings, but I've always been in an environment or told like, you'll just get over it. Like, if you're sad, stop being sad. That's how you stop being sad, and it's fine. And it goes so much deeper than that. It's chemical, it's in your brain. And so I didn't realize that I had kind of also pushed the trauma of being diagnosed with diabetes and then misdiagnosed just behind me. I didn't think about it. I was just like, this is what I have to do now, and so I'm just gonna get over it. And so I didn't process those emotions. There's so much in my life that I'm learning I have not processed and that I need to do a better job of. But from getting those diagnoses, the determination was that I would go on medication. So I'm taking Zoloft or Sertraline, and I started off at 50 milligrams, which is kind of like the middle of the road dosage. And then after a month, so I have just been on it for about a month now, and I'm moving up to the 100 milligram dose, which is still kind of in the middle. And so I cannot tell you how much of a breath of fresh air it has been to address my mental health in a serious way. And I was hesitant, I will tell you, to be very honest. I was hesitant about taking another medication. I was hesitant about having to take anti-anxiety and depression medications. I was overwhelmed at the idea that like I was going to get another diagnosis, and I just didn't want it. But I realized when I thought those feelings of like, I don't want to be here, I don't want to do this anymore, like that's when I was like, you have to do something about your mental health, because that's not okay to feel. And those feelings need to be addressed before they become harmful and more serious. And so I decided to take that route, and I wanted to talk about my experience on anti-anxiety medication, because I'm pretty open with you guys anyway about everything. And I think that starting an anti-anxiety medication and taking the steps to see a psychologist is a privilege. It does cost me money to have to book those psychologist appointments. I have to pay for the medication. And so, you know, mental health resources aren't really there, which is unfortunate, to be honest. That's difficult, I think, to swallow, because I think so many of us need that help and it's not always within reach. But I can tell you that it was a very interesting road, the few weeks of being on Zoloft. I did have some physical symptoms when I started taking it. So within the first few days, I had this epic headache, wouldn't even go away with Tylenol, and I had to sleep like the entire day because my head hurt so bad. I had such terrible sensitivity to light. I've never felt a headache like that, so I think it might have been a migraine, but I was very much uncomfortable and like, what is going on? I also had dry mouth and some low blood sugars, which I thought was interesting. It is shown to sometimes cause hypoglycemia for people with diabetes. So I just had to be mindful of that, especially while I was taking some rest time and making sure that I was actually eating and having solid meals throughout the day so that I wouldn't experience hypos as much. Then I had some drowsiness and nausea, and I'm used to that with like metformin. I have a video about natural nausea remedies, and people have left some great feedback in that video and those comments. So that was okay for me. I knew how to handle that. But there was one night, it was really weird. There was one night where I was like, and day where I was so drowsy. I was like, I can't keep my eyes open. I can't stay awake. I have to take a nap. Like, I need to reset. And then there was literally another day where I had trouble falling asleep. And so it affects people in different ways, but that was just my experience in terms of like physical side effects. But overall, in terms of mood, I mean, it has changed the way that I feel. I feel more even keeled. I feel more confident. I don't feel like the world is ending around me, even though there's like so much crap going on in the world right now. Like, I just feel like I have a handle on my stress. I feel calm in moments where I most certainly shouldn't feel calm. And I'll give you an example. You know, a few weeks after I started taking it, I went to go do a grocery run to go just get groceries for the week. And I went to my car, went to go turn it on, and it would not start. And I was like, what's going on? And so it seemed to be a battery issue, which was like, okay, well, I'll just get a new battery. It's fine. I take it to the shop, and they're like, you need $7,000 worth of repairs on your car. This is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And I'm like, I thought it was a dead battery. And normally I would flip out. I would be having like a meltdown. I would be like, how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to do this? What am I going to do? Like, and I was just like, I got it. Like, I mean, I didn't want to spend $7,000 on my car. Like, it wiped out my savings, but I had this savings, and my rational brain didn't think like, oh my God, like I have to spend all this money. I was just like, I have savings. Like, I have an emergency fund. That's what this is for. Like, I wish I could have had that emergency fund for my insulin or having to pay for any medications that I have to pay for in a gap when I lose my insurance for a little while before I like hop onto my own insurance after our divorce is final and stuff. But I was just like floored that I had that reaction. I was floored that I was like not freaking out, that I was level-headed, that I was even keeled, and that my brain just didn't go into overdrive and overthinking, and I didn't stay up all night, and I didn't like research a million ways my car could be broken. You know, I just accepted it and I was good with it. And I got my car. It was fine. It ended up having some more issues after that, which I was a little upset about, but it wasn't like an irrational, like, this is, my life is over, like this is the end of everything. And I think that I had always had that attitude before. I had always had that mindset because I was so anxious just about everything and so nervous about everything. And, you know, one thing people always told me, like when I told some of my friends, like I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, they were like, but you just don't seem like that's where you are. You don't seem like you have depression. You don't seem like you have anxiety. And for me, it was like, I hid it really well. I swallowed it. I tried to push it behind me. And it's only in those moments where I was alone that I was like freaking out. And I was like, I can't do this. And I think that is so important to recognize, is that you can't just look at someone and know what their mental health is like, because they can seem like the happiest, jolliest, bubbly person in the world and still have these feelings and still like not know how to process them. So I wanted to just tell you guys about the mental health aspect of diabetes. And if you feel those feelings, please seek out a professional, please, because there were some moments where I had to do the bare minimum just to scrape by to take care of my diabetes management because my head wasn't there, and it didn't look good and it didn't feel good. I didn't feel like a whole person, and I was just doing the bare minimum to do what I could do. So I really want to encourage y'all to just seek out help if you feel like you need help, and do research on diabetes and mental health. I think it's really important to know that that aspect exists. We get burned out as human beings, like we just do. And when you're having to do everything that you can to survive, and then you have the financial burdens, and then you have the having to sit on the phone with insurance to make sure that something gets covered, and then when you have to deal with high blood sugars or low blood sugars, or feeling sick because your blood sugars are out of whack, or interpreting data, or dealing with shitty comments, or, you know, rude family members or whatever, like there's so much that compounds on top of that, and you don't have to deal with that by yourself. And I think that's my biggest message here, is like, you don't have to deal with that by yourself. You're not alone. If you feel those feelings, you're not alone. If you feel like you can't do it, you're not alone. If you feel like it's too much to handle sometimes, and getting professional help and getting that diagnosis, I know that you probably don't want to hear those words. I didn't. And I thought, like, I'm probably fine. I'm probably just overreacting. I'm probably just being dramatic, because that's what I've been told my whole life. Like, cut the drama, just like stop being sad, you know, like, and it goes beyond that, and it's way more than that. And so I just wanted to share this video as encouragement, and then also tell you about my experience, because I'm pretty open about medications that I take and how they work for me, and updates. So I'll continue to update you guys about this in particular and just how it's going, especially since I'm upping my dosage. So I'm very curious about how that's gonna go, because I feel fine on my current dosage. And so when the psychologist said, like, yeah, we're gonna up it, I was like, more? How am I gonna handle this? How am I gonna do this? So hopefully this video is encouraging to you. I'm gonna put some mental health resources down in the description box below, and hopefully you check them out. Just some really good articles about diabetes and mental health, and resources that you can go to really just get the help that you need if you feel like you need it. That's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye.